I think a lot about the best possible way I can go about living my life. It's a very open-ended, very multifaceted question, but I like to think about it. I think it requires a lot of introspection. I think it's highly individual. You know, I cannot answer this question for you, and you can't answer this question for me. But I like thinking about it. I love thinking about lifestyle design in general, and I think it's important to think about this. I feel like a recurring theme of the stuff that I've made and talked about over the years is the dangers of living on autopilot, as in people making decisions for you in the absence of you making your own decisions. Perhaps the most interesting piece of this topic is the fact that the answer to this question of how can I better live my life keeps changing. My definition of a quality life keeps changing. And it's so fascinating to me because this very question can be both toxic, right? Over-optimizing, an obsession with better, never feeling contented with what you've got. That's toxic, right? Or it could be the exact question that you need to break out of a cycle. Because, of course, if you aren't optimizing at all, then you could be stuck in a dynamic that is unhealthy, that is stagnant, and that's negligence. If I had to define life optimization, I would just call it focus and effort pointed in the direction of improving how you live your life. And traditionally, we think about all of this, about productivity, about optimization, along the lines of becoming more like a machine, as in greater productivity, greater output. And I don't see it that way. I think I used to see it that way. Now I see it more as how can I be and live more like a human being? It's actually the opposite. I don't want to become more of a machine. Or I don't want to treat myself like a machine, rather. It's about self-awareness and allowing myself to operate in the ways that work for me, that make me feel good. I do think enjoying your life is extremely important. But you know, earlier on in this journey, I did act in a way where optimization was more oriented towards productivity. I could get more things done so that I'd have more free time to do the good stuff. And that good stuff is whatever you want to do in your free time. Time for friends, time for family, time for video games, time for travel, time, you know, whatever. That worked for a while until I realized that I don't really care about being productive. It's not enough for me to work really hard on stuff so that I can live my life in the rest of my time that's available. I care a lot more about making things that I feel are beautiful, that are meaningful. And there is no way to automate or fast track that. It's not an efficient process. Some things are impossible to delegate, and one of those things is being an artist. I have no interest in delegating that to anybody. It's one of my favorite things about being alive. Optimization today in 2024 is very different. I think partially, largely because of this realization. And now it looks a lot more like making more of what I do enjoyable. It's really about finding a way to enjoy a task or potentially cutting it out of my life. And of course, there's always ugly tasks to be done that we all have to take care of. Trust me when I say I never enjoy a single moment of facing French bureaucracy, doing just about anything here that requires paperwork in general. I hate it. So there's always going to be a percentage of my life where I'm going to have to dedicate time and energy to those things. But beyond that, you know, I don't see there being very many limits in terms of how much you can learn to enjoy the things that you do or cut out the things that you don't enjoy doing. Because life is too damn short. This is a really important question. And I'm not doing this by building a big team and delegating tasks anymore. I did that for a while, but I realized I don't really enjoy managing people. That becomes work of its own. And then you have to make more money because you got to pay for those people, of course. So I ended up reducing the size of my team. And I feel great about it, honestly. I have a lot more time to do the stuff that I want to do. This is so much more about only taking on the projects that I feel like taking on. Increasingly, I feel like I'm very slow when I make things. And getting slower, believe it or not. Maybe it doesn't look like that from the outside, but it certainly feels that way. Slowing it down is intentional though. This is by design. I'm finding that the creative process is just infinitely richer and more enjoyable when I take my time. Taking my time leads to enjoying what I do more. And interestingly, I found that when that is the case, people often enjoy what I'm making more as well. It's like some kind of interesting energetic transfer. People can feel it when I'm excited and inspired about something. What I'm describing here isn't what people usually associate with productivity. Instead of powering through something that I hate, because I feel like I have to for whatever reason, which was often the case for me, before even engaging in that, I'm asking the question and examining, like, do I even want this to be a part of my life? And make no mistake, this is lifestyle design, okay? It's just that my way of going about it is very untraditional. And that's fine because I'm crafting my own unique life. It shouldn't be traditional anyway. Instead of fighting for that promotion for the next 3 years, you gotta ask yourself, do I even want this job in the first place? If you answer that question well, everything else in your life can acquiesce and coalesce and shift in the direction that you wanna go. Positive change. And if you don't, well, how are you possibly going to have a life that you love if you have a job that you hate? I think we all try to do all kinds of mental gymnastics around this. But if you really ask your gut, you always know. You know already if you like or dislike something. And you can spend all the time you want trying to convince yourself otherwise, but you know. You already know. I want to end with this thought, okay? We are fed all kinds of narratives by the people around us, be it our parents maybe, or our neighbors, or anybody that we encounter in society, that tell us all the things that we can't do. You're supposed to do this, that, and the other. What if things go wrong? That's too risky. You have to suffer through disappointment because that's just how it is. Well, I'm telling you, that isn't just how it is. You decide what you're willing to settle for. So this was originally thought up as a newsletter, and then I decided to also make it a video on this channel. But if you're interested in more thoughts like these, I'll put a link to my newsletter in the description below. I think you might find it interesting. And I do love that newsletters are algorithmically independent, so I can get into your inbox if you like what I'm saying and what I'm about without depending on having to please the algorithms. I also wanted to let those of you that are interested know that Frame by Frame, my editing and filmmaking masterclass, is now available in self-paced form. There's dozens of hours of material that we've recorded over the last couple of years, covering everything from writing to shooting to editing, how to stylize your videos. There's a whole section around animation created by my brother, who's incredibly talented. If you're interested in checking it out, I'll leave a link in the description below. And in this self-paced form, you can absorb it at whatever speed that you want. It's also a fantastic way of supporting me and my work. All right, well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.